And welcome to CAL Conversations. I'm Beth Hadfield, the Activity Coordinator at the Center for Active Living. And today I am joined by Janet Enos. Janet is one of our fitness instructors and comes with a whole list of education and experience. Today, though, we are going to talk about the very newly formed Parkinson's support group in Plymouth. Welcome, Janet.
Hello. Happy to be here.
We're very, very happy to have you. Janet, you have been part of the center for a very long time. And I thought if you would take a minute and give us a little bit of your history with the Council on Aging and now the Center for Active Living.
Okay. I came to Plymouth in 1976. I was a young woman at that time. And I went looking for services for people in Plymouth. And one of the things I fell upon was there was a Council on Aging. So since my husband and I knew we were going to be here forever and we loved the town, I went in and to meet the director of the Council on Aging to see what was available for people in Plymouth as they grew older. And much to my dismay, there wasn't really very much. There was checkers and chess and knitting and card games and a little bit of dancing. So I've been in fitness my whole life. So I asked if we could start some fitness programs. And long story short, Christian Chembre, who was the director at the time, put me in a little room and said, go for it. And I did it for free. I did it for free for about 5 years. And then the town gave me a stipend. So I started there, and then I went to Castle Hill, and then I went to Prince Street, and then I went I was all over the place. Nook Road, Rocky Nook, all the different housing facilities. And so I started going to different places to teach because there was no real center. Then the center moved to Cottage Park a while after that. Then I went to Cottage Park when Beth came on, and I started teaching classes at Cottage Park. And then when this center opened in 2012, I believe, I came here. So I've been kind of following everybody around, and they've been dragging me with them, thank God. And so now I'm teaching here at the Center for Active Living, and they've embraced all of my hardcore, kind of very pushy ideas for fitness for seniors. Bought me a ton of weights, and not just 2 pounds, but 12 and 15 pound weights, and went along with all of the exercises I had kind of for new age seniors. And that's been terrific. I worked at Braintree Rehab at the same time that I was Center for Active Living, which was then the senior center at Cottage. Cottage was on one side of the park, and my building, Braintree Rehab, was on the other side. So I would walk across during my lunch break, teach a class, and then walk back to my
I remember those days so vividly. Yeah. You'd come flying in like the wind.
Yeah, and I taught 2 classes. I taught a fitness class, and then I taught an arthritis class because I'm an arthritis master certified instructor. So I'd come running over with all my little balls, and we would do our class, and I'd run back to work. because I was a physical therapy assistant at the time at Braintree. I started at Braintree Rehab in 2000. And in 2003, they introduced a movement disorder program at the neurology end of the building. So the building was huge. There were pediatric therapies on one side, neurology on the other side, and then the physical therapy was in the middle.
Right.
And so they needed an instructor to fill in one day for a Parkinson's movement program they were having. And of course, I volunteered for everything back then. So I said, I'd love to try that. And that was it for me. Once I started working with Parkinson's, that was it.
So that was your first experience with patients with Parkinson's and movement disorders.
Yep. I had no idea what Parkinson's really was, being a younger woman. And
right.
I mean, I knew there was dementia, senility, Alzheimer's. I knew a little bit about muscular dystrophy, multiple sclerosis, but I really didn't know too much about Parkinson's. But in 2003, I started working that program with two of the therapists there, and my heart just went right to it. So I worked with Parkinson's for about a year, and then about 6 years or so ago, well, 8 years now, I got interested I was still interested, but I didn't have my hand in it a lot. But a young man from Marshfield, Brett Miller, was running a rock steady boxing group. So I jumped right back into Parkinson's full force with 2 feet, got certified for group rock steady boxing, got certified for pedaling for Parkinson's, and I started running a big and loud class, big exercise here at the senior center, probably in 2014, 15.
Yeah, I'm thinking it was pretty early on after we moved in here that you said to me, I really think we need to do this. And we did it with gusto, didn't we?
Yeah, well, there was very little for Parkinson's people on the South Shore.
Right.
Brett was running his own program in Marshfield. And then there was a woman, Ellen, in Sandwich that was running a program. But there was nothing for Parkinson's in our area.
Right.
And if you know anything about Parkinson's, it affects people differently. It's got a different fingerprint for each person affected. And the one thing that they have in common is they don't get going in the morning until about 11 or 12 o'clock. And they have to have a lot of services to help them once the disease progresses. So people having to go to Sandwich or to Rockland for a group really bugged the heck out of me. So I've been kind of pursuing this group and nudging as I did with Beth and Connie back in the day, getting my weights and nudging until I got my own way. But the Parkinson's group finally accepted me as a facilitator a few months ago. I had to fill out a tedious application and go through a certification process, but they accepted me, which I'm just so honored, to start this program October 20th. And Beth was
I think you're getting ahead of us. Like, we haven't even gotten there yet.
Well, I'm just kind of saying that's how the group got started.
Yeah, it really was. So I guess I want to take a step back before we start to talk about the group. What do you think this means for our community, that we are going to, in Plymouth, have our own Parkinson's support group outside of Big and Loud or Rock Steady, outside of all of those other pieces? What do you think this means for the community?
Excuse me. Well, I think that Parkinson's needs a hub. It needs a central place for people to get resources and support and help and have communication with those other outreach programs like Big and Loud, all the hospital services, Rock Steady Boxing. There's a pedaling for Parkinson's in Rockland, but there is no central hub for folks in Plymouth. to reach out and make one phone call and say, how can I find out about this? How can I get information about this? Instead of having to call all over the place and Google until, the cows come home.
Right.
One central place and location where information is readily available to them, and to make it easy for them, because they already have a rough road. They don't need it any more difficult than they already are going to have it. So if I can make it easier for them to meet once a month, and besides the camaraderie and the laughs and just the good feelings of knowing that they're not alone in this, that's what I think it brings to the community, because Plymouth is getting more and more distended because of all the new housing and all the outreach programs, and there's different things in different locations. All the medical buildings are in different locations, and there just needs to be a central place for people that live in the Plymouth area, which is Kingston, Duxbury, Wareham, Buzzards Bay, just the whole area. There needs to be just one central place that's kind of a home base for people with Parkinson's, to know they have a home to call, to come to get information. Because there's just too much out there. And as you know, with the media and everything, less is better. So,
but it's not just for people with Parkinson's.
No, anyone with a movement disorder.
But I think it goes beyond that. It's for family, it's for friends, it's for people who have loved ones in their lives who are experiencing Parkinson's or movement disorders, so they can also learn.
It's the whole network.
And understand.
Yep.
Right. It is the whole network. So let's, your partnership is with the American Parkinson's Disease Association, which the acronym is APDA.
Right.
How did you wind up contacting them?
Well, I've been working with the Parkinson's population now for a long time. And every time I would run a group or work with people, the people themselves and their caregivers would come to me and say, you really should do this. You really should do this. And I haven't been able to do it because my plate's been a little full up to now. But I decided that enough people were approaching me saying, we really need something in our area. And I felt honored that they were approaching me and saying, you really should run this program because you've got a spark plug and you really would be good at it. So, I don't take compliments well. So I would say, well, I'm sure that there'll be one. I'm sure someone will start one. And then it got to be, well, you know what? Gosh darn it, I got to get off my tush and get this going, because my passion is now for this, and I couldn't sit on it anymore. So I got in touch with someone through APDA, through one of my clients who comes to my class, who kept twisting my arm. Please do this. Please do this. Will you please do this? So that's the husband syndrome. So I got in touch with APDA, and they were just thrilled to death. Kathy was my contact, Kathy Thomas at BU. And she was just like over the moon, like there would be a group in Plymouth again, because I guess we haven't had our own group ever. And there were outreach groups. Like I said, there was a group in Marshfield, there was a group in Buzzards Bay or Bourne, but there's never been a group successfully ongoing. And there will be now, because I was lucky that they thought, yep, let's do it. And they're supporting us, and they're supporting Beth at the center. So it's going to be a good partnership.
It is going to be a good partnership. It's going to be amazing. We already have people calling and asking, and it only went out in our newsletter for the October issue, but now it's already flourishing. And you had a different approach to how you wanted to actually run this support group. You didn't you don't want it to have limitations, and you want it to be very far reaching. So do you want to explain to everyone a little bit about what the group might look like and what your thoughts are for running it, and how we're going to make this be the best Parkinson sport group in the state?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, a lot of support groups, from what I'm finding out, and one that I've attended, um, a lot of support groups are more or less of a lecture. You go into the room with your caregiver and the patient, or the network of family members, or anyone who wants to come, who's interested in helping with the cause, so to speak.
Right.
The speaker will come in and give their talk about deep brain stimulation, or different topics related to, are you just diagnosed? Have you been diagnosed for a long time? Levodopa, Cinemat, all the different medications.
Right.
My thought is that in order for this to grow, and in order for us to have some type of excitement about Parkinson's and get more people involved, we need to branch out and bring in a lot of different facets, like nutrition, exercise, how to take care of a Parkinson's patient, what kind of habilitations are out there, like what kind of movement tools are at your access, having an actual cooking little display, having dressing and basic adaptive living. How can you set up your house for a Parkinson's person, your chair, your TV, your kitchen, so that they can ambulate around the house better? There's just, to use my favorite word, plethora. There's a great amount of information that can be presented to someone who's afflicted with a mobility issue.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be just a doctor coming in talking.
Right. Right.
Because after about a half an hour of that, even someone who's not afflicted with Parkinson's is going to nod off. So we need to make it interesting, and we want people to come, because I really care about everything about their disease, not just they have it, okay, this guy's going to come and talk to you, this doctor's going to come. No, I want you to get up and do something. I want you to learn how to manage your own symptoms. I want you. So there's an awful lot that we can do to make this and more interactive. So that's my plan.
I love, Janet came to me not all that long ago, and it was a very quick turnaround. She needed a place to hold this group, and there was never a doubt in my mind that I wanted it to be here at the Center for Active Living. Even if I had to move heaven and earth to make this happen, we were going to have it, and it was going to be our group, because we have such a large and diverse community. We already know, prior to COVID, we did the big exercise here at the center. So we already know that there's a large following that follows Janet for the exercise class. During COVID, we weren't able to do all the things we did, but the program never wavered. It didn't continue here, but it never wavered, because Janet knew that COVID couldn't be a reason that these people couldn't get what they needed, because it would have been even more of a negative aspect on all of those people. So Janet did whatever she needed to do to keep the program going and keep these people moving.
Yep.
The bottom line in all of this is to keep the exercise going, to be able to do it at least twice a week, as well as other exercises to keep all the abilities you have for as long as you have. You've had some people in this group since the very beginning.
almost 10 years.
Yes.
Yeah, and I moved to CrossFit, Bay State CrossFit during COVID because it would be devastating for these people to stop moving. So we all wore our masks and we were about 8 feet apart and I kept them moving. I had a big door with fresh air coming in. I hired a cleaner. There was a cleaner that came in and disinfected every single day, every single chair, every single piece of equipment we touched. So it was important for me to keep them going. And now I've purchased a bowling set, a cornhole, a bocce set, badminton, volleyball, frisbee, and we do interactive games and recreational activities with the people for half of my class. So about half the class is weights, moving, stretching, about 40 minutes. And then the other half is we play games and we laugh and we form teams and do relay races. And it's hysterical. It's so much fun. And they get so much out of it.
What do the games help them do? Is it more the socialization or
No.
is it so they can see that they still have all the abilities that they've always had?
Besides feeling whole, it works on their balance, their gait, their hand-eye coordination, the tracking in the brain, proprioception, fall risk. We do a lot of fall risk because a lot of them, one in particular, my little gal, she's been falling a lot. So that's what we work on. We work on all of those skills that you don't think about that when you're playing a game. When you're little, you just run around. But when you're older, you have to think about balance and gait,
Right.
Tracking, timing,
Right.
distancing. And it's great for the dopamine. It's great to keep that dopamine flow.
Because they're laughing and enjoying themselves, and that is a positive response.
And they're very competitive. So they haven't lost that. I mean, they're, one of the little gals, her little walker moves faster than anybody in the room, and she can really get to that. We did a relay race last week, and her little walker flew to the end. They kept picking up balls and putting down balls. I couldn't believe how fast she was moving. Her husband said she hasn't moved that fast in years. So
that is fun. So great. Do you think you'll incorporate some of these games into our support group also?
I would like to, if the room accommodates it. If, I don't know what to expect. I don't know if we're going to have 30 couples, if we're going to have 40 people, if we're going to have 10 people. So in the future, I would love to do some interactive, either memory games, like everybody gets a card in the beginning of the support group and I pull one up and somebody has to recognize it and match it with the one I have, or there's just so much that can be done. And I would love to do it here, but I don't know what to expect as far as space, and safety is key. So I can't do anything if there's so many people. I have to I guess I have to wait and see.
You know what? I was just going to say that. I guess we do have to wait and see. So the good part is that we are in the largest room that this building can accommodate. So the Parkinson support group is going to be in the multi-purpose room. We have even set up a schedule so far that if we needed to divide the group and the presenter could stay, we could do a presentation or the education in a separate room and then bring everybody back together at the end.
Yeah, that's what I suggested in the beginning, that maybe we did one general meet, and then they split up and have two different facilitators helping me, running two different, off each other, and then they switch. So again, I have all these wonderful ideas and I'm like a little jack in the box ready to come out, but I can't do anything till I see what we meet against October 20th, what we see.
So I know Janet keeps saying October 20th, and that is the first meeting of the Plymouth Parkinson support group. It is at the center, which is located at 44 Nook Road. It is going to begin at 1:30 in the afternoon, and it is going to meet every third Thursday of the month. You don't necessarily need to register, but we are asking people to register at least for the first one, so we kind of have an idea. If it doesn't work out, don't worry, just come. We want you as a community member to have what you need. I think you could hear Janet's passion. She's been doing this for
19 years.
Yes. I'm trying to calculate. I can't math.
I
this
couldn't
morning.
believe it myself. I couldn't.
And her passion is unbelievable. And I say that because I have known Janet since 2006, and her passion is over the top. And if you ever wanted anyone to be in your corner, it's Janet Enos. There is no doubt about that. And there is no question in my mind that if anything in my life were to change, I want her in my corner with me, because she is a champion. She is a promoter. She is going to push you to whatever means you can do to be able to keep all of the abilities that you have right now for as long as you possibly can have them.
And with the Parkinson's population, it's all about inclusion. They are not different. They don't want to see themselves as different. So it's all about inclusion. They are just like everybody else. They're just having a little problem putting their muscles and their brain together. So, and that's really important to me, that they don't feel left out, or I'm sorry, I'm getting that they need to feel that their life is going to go on and it's not going to be different, even though deep inside, you know, it is, but they can't be feeling that every day because it'll stop them from trying. And it's about inclusion. It's really about including them in everything.
And they're lucky to have you, because your glass is always half full, and you are going to ask them to do everything that they can do, and maybe a little more, to show them that they still have all of these capabilities and can do it. You know, no is not a word in your vocabulary. No, it never has been. Because even when you and I have talked and I've said, I don't know if I can do it, you would modify what you're doing to make it work. Like, it's just.
We are going to do this. We just have to find a way.
That's right. And we did find a way. And by you making this connection through the APDA, we have even more doors open to us, because they have agreed to also help you connect with even more people
exactly
than are down here in our small area of the world.
Yeah. I just connected with a new neurologist, Dr. Dubai, at VA hospital in Brockton. So now I have about 9 doctors on board from 3 different hospitals in South Shore. And so it's wonderful for me too, because I'm still learning. And these people are all just very, I mean, they love what they do. So.
I guess I'm going to ask for a little teaser at this moment. Do you have any idea if we're going to have a speaker for our first meeting, or are we just going to meet and get to know people and see what they would like to have? Yep.
For the first group, I had 2 ideas, and I haven't narrowed it down yet. But one is to have the woman who ran the support group in Bourne come and talk about support groups.
Okay.
Because I don't have experience running a support group yet, but she could not do it any longer. But she would be a very valuable asset to me to speak to the group about, this is what you have to look forward to.
Okay.
But I would also, on the other end of that, I had mentioned before to you that I would love to have people come in and give them index cards
Yes.
and have them fill out what would you like our group to be, because we want it to be everything you want it to be. So give me a challenge and I'm going to
Okay.
do it. So then everybody feels like, oh, this week we did this, and that was my suggestion. You know,
Right.
people like
Right.
to feel like they contributed.
So sadly, I have to say we have just run out of time.
That's okay.
And I cannot thank you enough for joining me. But if you or a family member has Parkinson's, you can call here and register for this support group. It is going to meet the third Thursday of every month at 1:30. Janet will be your fearless leader. And Janet, thank you so much for joining me today.
Can
Thank
I
you.
add one quick thing?
Sure.
APDA website now has our support group listed,
Okay.
and also my contact information. So they
Awesome. I will make sure that at the bottom of the screen, we will put the APD website and our contact information
Great.
also.
Great.
Janet, thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, and have a fabulous day.